Welcome, everyone, to the Preschool Mindfulness Summit. I'm really excited to introduce you to Andrew Dore. He is an app developer who's developed an app called Get CMFO, or just CMFO, and he'll tell us more about that in a while. But basically, he was a little bit addicted, I think, himself to technology, and that's why he wanted to develop this app that helps mental well-being and this kind of addiction that so many people are having now with technology being so prevalent in our lives. So welcome, and thank you so much for coming on the summit.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
So we'll have all Andrew the links to the apps, and he's just told me there's going to be a Google Chrome extension coming out in a few days. So we'll have the information about that on his speaker bio page, and links to the app, which is for Android at the moment. So Andrew, tell us why is this technology so addicting? Why is it so hard to put our phones down?
Yeah, it's a combination of things. It's the design of the products we use. Many of them, social media, news media, gaming, dating, are engineered for dependency because that's the business model of the internet. But it's not that alone. We also have to take into account our neurobiology and our evolutionary instincts around searching for information and wanting to be connected and part of something. And also mental state. When we're unable to self-regulate, we're often looking for something to fill that void. So it's hard to reduce it to one thing. And just another one is like our interpersonal relationships, depending on the undefined communication contracts that we have with each other or with our bosses. There's just so many things that make it a really complex challenge for our time. And for me personally, I'm a millennial, and I think I got my computer and phone in middle school. And yeah, like my teenage years and college years were just this hypnosis of technology that stifled my emotional development and kind of just got in the way of all these different aspects of my life. And then it was an experience disconnecting for a week while traveling, where I just had this wake-up call, and I kind of, for the first time in my life, got really reflective and self-aware and started questioning things and thinking about this relationship I had with technology, phones, social media. And that was about 5 years ago. So since then, I've kind of been thinking about the problem, eventually prototyping some products, and now leading a company that's trying to help people build healthier relationships with tech.
Yeah, awesome. And I love what you said about, kind of getting in this hypnosis of technology, because I really think that's what it is. Sometimes we're just so unaware, of how much time we're actually spending on our phones or computers or whatever it is. And when people are actually shown it's, they're like, they can't believe it, right? Like, yeah. They're spending, 50 hours a week on their phone or whatever. And I read another study about people like waking up multiple times in the night, and they, the first thing is grab the phone and check the phone in the middle of the night. And so I think it's really a big issue. And so it's great that you were able to kind of, I think traveling is a great way to kind of do something different, but for you to realize, that this is a problem, and then think about the solution. So what are some of the kind of simple things that we can do on a day-to-day basis that can help us achieve? I mean, because tech's great. I mean, it helps us in so many ways. So how can we get that balance with it?
Yeah, I'm happy you use the word balance, because it's important to recognize that there is incredible power in these tools to enrich our lives. We just have to find that right balance where we're not giving up more of us. And I think that there's a number of quick, low-hanging fruit things you can do. It's recommended to remove apps off your home screen that are not utilitarian. It's recommended that you turn off notifications for only the most important apps. It's recommended that you pay attention to where you're keeping your device physically. So if you're commuting to work, maybe put it in your backpack or your bag and then be reading a book or meditating instead. If you're at work, instead of having your phone right next to your computer, maybe put it behind your computer or put it in your bag. And my understanding is a lot of this audience is parents and teachers, and I really feel for you. You have such enormous demands placed on you that parents a generation ago didn't, and especially with young children, I think embodying good behavior is really important to cultivate, not only to be a positive role model and display what good habits are, but also just to be super present with our kids and really attuned to their inner world during these critical development phases. One thing I'm really grateful for as an app developer working on this problem is I've sort of been inspired to explore a bit more about different ways of thinking about the problem. So one of those ways is from the developmental psychology angle. And I don't claim to be an expert at all, but I did come across this really interesting experiment called the still face experiment out of UMass Boston, where basically a mother sits down with a 1-year-old, they're engaging with each other, coordinating emotions and intentions, and then the mother doesn't respond at all. The baby's trying to interact, but the mother is stone-faced. And the baby starts to pick up on that and uses all her abilities to get the mother to smile or just engage back. So the baby will point and stretch and screech and react with negative emotions and eventually lose control of posture because of the stress they're experiencing. And that really strikes a chord because when we're checking our phone 150 times a day and where we could be present with our kids instead, that micro trauma might be happening like on a daily basis, and the implications for that on attachment styles and for psychological safety are just something we haven't had enough time and data to really understand. But I imagine how we are relating with our devices fundamentally changes the life experience of a child. So yeah, just keep that in mind.
So it's so important, and yeah, I'm sure research is going to come out more and more showing, just what effect it's going to have. I read an article a few months ago about mothers who are breastfeeding and just kind of scrolling their phones, and that actually changed like the neurons and the connections in the baby's brain because they're not. Yeah, so I'm sure I'll have to look at that research that you just mentioned, but I'm sure it's it's obvious, right? If we're not there present and not getting that same interaction, it's definitely going to have an effect. So so what do you think about so this is a mindfulness summit, so how can kind of practicing meditation or mindfulness maybe help us with our draw to technology or our constant need to check phones and screens and things?
I wholeheartedly believe that meditation is one of the most important things you can do in 2019 society, especially with regards to phone use. It exercises the muscle of self-control. It helps you attune to your state and your emotions and just develop self-awareness, compassion for others. I had an experience yesterday where are you familiar with the expression, soften your gaze?
Yeah.
So I thought about, what if I tried doing that on my computer? So normally I open my computer, I have 30 tabs open, and it's so tempting for me to just go to Facebook, go to Gmail, go to this app. So I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to soften my gaze and tune out all of that and just go to the application that I need to do the thing I need to do. And I'm going to resist the temptation to check other things. And I was able to hold that intention really strong and accomplish my goal of focusing for an hour. And maybe I could do that without having a multi-year meditation practice, but I couldn't before. So just as an example.
Yeah. I love that, what you like about setting the intention as well. And yeah, I think the more you practice, I've found for myself as well, the more you practice, things get easier. You can focus more, and it sort of grows naturally. I think the more that you practice, and it just becomes part of who you are, and helps us in so many areas of our lives. So tell us a little bit now about kind of what this constant technology does to our nervous systems. When we're always wanting to check everything and getting distracted, and what is that doing to kind of our stress system, our nervous system?
Yeah, I've joked before that the most important thing our phones can get us to do is breathe better and breathe more.
Right.
And yeah, this is something that we can all try. Like, notice once you've been on your phone for a minute, maybe on email or Facebook, just tune into how you're breathing and if there's tightness in your chest. And basically what's happening is the sympathetic fight or flight nervous system is stimulated, which causes those things to happen, like shortness in breath, tightness in chest, higher heart rate. And it's very subtle, but this is happening all the time when we're on screens. And so meditation or breathing in general can really help stimulate the parasympathetic system, the rest and digest, which just helps you feel so much better and avoids chronic illnesses. And yeah, I think it's one of the, what's a good way to put this? It's really a risk. Like, this is a negative externality that society is now bearing, that we are consuming all this visual stimulation, and there's nothing embedded into the tool to make it healthier for us. And like, we can really call this, like, we need healthier technology, healthier for our mental health. And so that's one of the things that we're hoping to build into our products, are ways to help people be more aware of their body when they're using these products.
Yeah, it's, it really, can be a real addiction in some people. And I think in many people, it's really, people know that, I shouldn't really be on my phone this much, but you see it in restaurants where, people are out for dinner and everybody's on their phone, and kids sitting next to each other, texting each other and things like that. So, so I'm really interested in your app, and so tell us a little bit about Siempo and what some of the things that it will be able to help us, and also about the extension of what things that will do that can kind of help us to be more balanced.
Absolutely. So you point out the example of somebody in a restaurant on their phone, just these inappropriate times, overuse. I really believe that in 5 years, when many of our kids are, starting to maybe get their first phone, that we will have much better tools that respect the being's time and attention and mental health and well-being. But we have to get from here to there. And so one reason Siempo exists is to push the edges of innovation on the smartphone interface, so we can apply market pressure so the rest of Apple, Google, Samsung can just do this by default on every new phone that is sold in the store. And so we're asking questions like, what would be a more skillful thing to see on your home screen when you open it 150 times a day? So we have this intentions concept where you can enter an intention or a mantra and be reminded of that on the home screen and throughout the whole smartphone experience. And then we've looked at the icons and said, okay, instead of a vending machine of corporate logos screaming for your attention, what if we unbranded them? What if we grayscaled them? What if we tiered them by tools and distracting apps? And then we made the distracting apps harder to access by randomizing their location and allowing you to set timers that might alter what the experience is inside of Facebook after you've spent 5 minutes on it. So you're gently nudged to use it less. And then we look at notifications and we say, should they come all the time or never? maybe they could come at the top of the hour or once a day, like the mail. Just giving people more control, and also adding a little bit of intelligence, because our phones know so much about our behavior. They could be designed to support our focus and connection and mental health. No one's just done it before, so we're trying to do it and then inspire other companies to follow suit. And then the browser extension would be pretty similar. We will surface your intention every time you open a new tab on your browser. And then every time you've spent more than X minutes on a distracting website, we nudge you with a gentle notification that tells you how long you've spent and also reminds you of your intention to bring you back to center.
Yeah, I love that, because that's such a great tool, isn't it? To, because time can get away from you. You think, oh, I'm just going to look for 2 minutes or something, and then you realize it's an hour later. So that little nudge and your intention, I think, is something that just brings us back to our awareness and what do we really want to do. And so I love that. I love what you're doing, and I think it's really going to help a lot of people, because we see a lot getting sucked into the. I think they feel maybe they can't manage it. Like there's some kind of pull there all the time to check if there's a message, if there's a notification. So tools like you're developing are going to be so helpful, and definitely for this next generation of kids, because we see already in the teenage years so many changes in the brains and how things are working because of the phone, and also all this, the bullying, the comparison, all that kind of stuff from social media. So, that's awesome. Sounds really amazing. I can't wait to get it on my Chrome extension. I think it'll be really great. So just before we end today, Andrew, is there anything else you want to share with our audience?
Just to comment on the last thought you shared about teenagers and comparison and bullying. And those are really serious problems that are starting to be considered and brainstormed and developed. And I think we've learned a lot from this first internet age, and it can seem like progress is slow, but I think help is on the way. I think that it's coming from new companies. It's also coming from the big companies who recognize more of their social responsibility in minimizing harm and maximizing impact. And I think we're also, as a society, moving towards this consciousness of wanting more psychological support and development for all people, young and old. We're seeing that with the growth of wellness and the almost virality of mindfulness, and just more millennials getting socially active, and it seems like we're upgrading a lot of our systems from business to politics to culture to meet the needs of our time. And so I think that's really exciting. And I think we've been talking about the problems a lot, and it's always good to better understand the research and what's happening. But I'm really optimistic about more solutions coming online soon, and people testing stuff and funding new ideas, and getting the help they need.
Great. Yeah. Thanks so much. Very optimistic message, and hopefully that is what's going to happen, and we can get this, manage it and use it for great purposes, and but also maintain our kind of well-being. So thank you so much, Andrew, for sharing and for developing your extension and your app. We'll have all that on the learning resource button below. So if you're interested in trying it out, you can do that there. And we have more information about Andrew on his speaker bio, if you want to get in contact with him or follow him on Facebook or anything, you can do that as well. So thanks again for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. This was great. Thank you.